proved, Iran was going full speed ahead with its atomic ambitions. That said, were totally peaceful, just trying to keep the lights on. But the West thought that was a cover and that Iran was really after nuclear weapons. Well, the deal helped everyone meet halfway. On Iran's end, it has to get rid of nearly all its uranium, a key ingredient, of course, for nuclear weapons, and get rid of most of the machines that process uranium for bombs, plus make sure its nuclear sites are for research and power only. Well, in return, big world powers would press pause on a lot of their sanctions on the country, letting its people do business with the world. Everyone's happy, right? Well, no. America and its then President Barack Obama led the way on striking the deal, but Congress never signed off on it. Instead, it says whoever is president has to tell lawmakers every 90 days if Iran is keeping up its end of the bargain. If not, America could ditch it. But remember, a lot of other countries signed up, so if one pulls out, the deal won't just explode.
Europe urges Trump to honor Iran nuclear deal. CNN senior European diplomats have urged the United States not to kill off the Iran nuclear deal, as President Donald Trump mulls whether to reimpose sanctions on the country ahead of a Friday deadline. Trump had vowed to rip up the agreement during his election campaign and has repeatedly referred to it as the worst deal ever, accusing Iran of violating the spirit of the pact. He must sign a series of waivers every few months to maintain the suspension of sanctions on Iran, and to keep the deal fully intact. After a meeting of European diplomats in Brussels on Thursday, French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian made a direct appeal to the U.S. to sign the latest waiver, due Friday. He said France remained dedicated to the agreement. All parties should uphold the deal, he said, speaking through a translator. It is also necessary that our U.S. allies do the same and should be seen doing the same, Le Drian said after meeting with his Iranian, British, German and French counterparts. Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif said there was strong consensus on the deal but warned that Iran's continued compliance depended on that of the United States. The 2015 agreement was brokered by the Obama administration, along with the UK, Russia, France, Germany and China, obliging Iran to limit its nuclear program in exchange for the suspension of sanctions that had for years crippled its economy. Thursday's meeting in Brussels was convened by the European Union Chief Foreign Affairs Representative, Federica Mogherini, who said the deal was essential in preventing a nuclear arms race. The deal is working. It is delivering on its main goal, which means keeping the Iranian nuclear program in check and under close surveillance, Mogherini said after the meeting. Iran is fully complying with the commitments made under the agreement. Zarif said the Iranian people have every right to all the dividends resulting from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. Any move that undermines JCPOA is unacceptable, he said in a post on his official Twitter feed. He added that the European parties are fully aware that Iran's continued compliance is conditioned on full compliance by the U.S. The deal is one of several foreign policy issues where Europe's most powerful economies stand in opposition to the Trump administration. European countries are banking on the deal, as many began investing in Iran after the sanctions were lifted. But the European diplomats appear to have allies in Trump's own camp. U.S. officials told CNN that the president's top national security advisors are encouraging him to renew the waivers. Trump, however, is known to often ignore his counsel on foreign policy issues, and it was not clear Thursday whether he had yet made a decision. It will be politically difficult for him to walk away from the deal without proving Iran has violated the agreement. His decision is also further complicated by recent mass anti-government protests in Iran, made up mostly of youths complaining of economic hardship. Trump openly supported those protesters on Twitter. UK Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson insisted that Iran had not violated the deal, citing the International Atomic Energy Agency's assessment. He called the agreement a considerable diplomatic accomplishment. I want to stress that I don't think anybody has so far produced a better alternative as a way of preventing the Iranians from going ahead with the acquisition of its nuclear capability, he said, challenging the deal's opponents to come up with a better solution. It is also clearly important to build worldwide support for this deal, that Iran should be able to show that it is a good neighbor in the region. Germany Foreign Minister Sigmar Gabriel said that the deal showed that diplomatic approaches to preventing the development of nuclear weapons were possible. It would send a very dangerous signal to the rest of the world if the only agreement which prevents us from the proliferation of nuclear weapons would be negatively affected, he said. Trump will have a series of decisions to make on the deal in the days following the first waiver deadline on Friday. He is expected to reject at least one, which essentially decertifies Iran's compliance with the deal, a senior administration official told CNN last week. He took the same action in October in the last round of waivers, passing the decision on whether to impose additional sanctions on Iran to Congress.
Trump's new Netherlands ambassador grilled at awkward first press conference. CNN President Donald Trump's new U.S. ambassador to the Netherlands held his first press conference with Dutch media at The Hague on Wednesday, and it was awkward. Peter Hoekstra was peppered with questions regarding claims he made in 2015 that the Islamic movement had brought chaos to the Netherlands, comments he has since denied making. Chaos in the Netherlands. There are cars being burned. There are politicians that are being burned, and yes, there are no-go zones in the Netherlands, said Hoekstra at the David Horowitz Freedom Center's 2015 Restoration Weekend. When pressed by Dutch reporters on Wednesday, Hoekstra refused to retract the statement or cite examples to back it up. Will you be visiting our no-go areas? One reporter asked. Can you mention any example of a Dutch politician who was burned in recent years? Another reporter added. After failing to answer, other members of the press corps continued to volley follow-up questions at Hoekstra. This is the Netherlands, you have to answer questions, one reporter told the former Michigan congressman. At one point in the press conference Hoekstra pointed to his regrets over the comments, and said he was looking forward to moving on from the controversy over them. It is not about my personal views anymore. This is about the views and the policies of the United States of America as directed by this administration. When asked in December about the same comments in an interview with CNN affiliate and Dutch broadcaster News in the U.S. Capitol, Hoekstra claimed he had never made them. That is actually an incorrect statement, we would call it fake news, Hoekstra told News reporter Wouters Ward. I never said that. Zwart's report on News Nieuwsuur program included the specific portion of Ambassador Hoekstra's 2015 comments. Zwart told CNN he did not play video of the remarks for Hoekstra, saying he can't imagine he did not know of its existence, because it was widely available online. The State Department told CNN at the time that they had no comment to make on whether Hoekstra stood by his 2015 comments. Exclusive, inside Iraq's biggest potential weapon of mass destruction, Mosul Dam. Exclusive, from the crack of dawn to a starry dusk, hundreds of technicians from around the world can be seen against a backdrop of pale-colored mountains and a still, sapphire reservoir. It appears serene and picturesque, but those workers are rushing to salvage Iraq's deteriorating Mosul Dam, which was once under ISIS control and straddles the Tigris River just 40 miles upstream from the city of Mosul. Failure to reinforce and maintain the dam could mean unleashing what is, in effect, a potential weapon of mass destruction. When we started, the risk assessment regarding the potential fate of the dam was very high. And ISIS had stolen everything that was here, Carlos Morales, deputy project manager for Trevi, the Italian company awarded the repair and maintenance contract to prevent catastrophe, told Fox News on a recent exclusive visit to Mosul Dam. The dam, the largest in the country with the capacity to hold 3 trillion gallons of water, controls the flow of the Tigris River north of Mosul and supplies electricity to more than 1 million residents. The Army Corps of Engineers estimates that if the dam ruptures, it will send floodwaters crashing more than 200 miles downstream, swallowing villages and much of Mosul city with waves as high as 80 feet. In addition, floodwaters could reach as far as Baghdad and potentially result in the loss and displacement of millions of lives and up to $20 billion in damages. Furthermore, a 2015 study from the European Commission's Science Centre concluded that even a partial fissure that released just 1/4 of its full capacity would be disastrous. The concern even prompted an urgent memo from the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad in March 2016, cautioning Americans to avoid areas within 3 miles of the river and have a plan in case of emergency. Progress is being made. Since the emergency work began just over a year ago, some 15,000 metric tons of cement have been poured into the 370-foot structure and more than 150 miles of electrical grids have been installed. Also, some of the critical grouting, the pumping of a mixture of clay, water and cement into the dangerously soft bed of gypsum on which the dam wall rests has been completed. Another year of critical grouting is planned. The dam, which has been a cause of concern since it was built in 1984 and known at the time as the Saddam Dam, was captured by ISIS in August 2014 in the early onslaught of the terror group. Although it only controlled the area for 10 days before being run out by Kurdish and Iraqi forces, the massive structure has deteriorated badly as it has not received mandatory maintenance from either ISIS or, subsequently, coalition forces. ISIS cursed, mocked in Mosul, where Old City remains a haunted wasteland. After ISIS campaign, Iran-backed fighters in Iraq vote to drive out U.S. troops. The Trevi Group is calling its work a success, so far, yet the intense pace of its work must be maintained for the sake of scores of lives downstream of the dam. The Iraqi government has not yet officially renewed the group's contract, which the Iraqi government says was worth about $300 million and funded in large part with a loan from the World Bank. That contract expires this spring. Discussions are underway about continuing the Trevi partnership into 2019, as the Iraqi government has acknowledged ongoing risks to the dam, and officials with the Corps told Fox News. Some grouting results look promising, but uncertainty will remain until grouting efforts have progressed across the full length of the dam, the representative of the Corps said. The Ministry of Water Resources has concluded that a second year of grouting and training is necessary. The Trevi contract also came with the Italian government's promise to deploy 450 troops to guard the vulnerable area while repairs are underway. Along with protecting workers, the soldiers, led by the Presidium Task Force of the 3rd Alpine Regiment of the Italian Army, have been training Iraq's counter-terrorism forces and have implemented initiatives to support the local hospitals, schools and families inside the small villages that make up the Mosul Dam community. We've been cooperating with the Italian task force with the objective of protecting the dam and the people around it, explained Iraqi counter-terrorism leader, Major Ahmed. But the idea long-term is for us not only to help in a military way, but in a humanitarian way, too,